Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the November 14th, 2019 meeting of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department Merit Board. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Have the members of the board had an opportunity to review the minutes from the October meeting? Are there any corrections? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve? Have a motion, do I have a second? Have a motion second. Any questions? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, same. Thank you. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning. Thank you for venturing out on this nice winter morning. Though the temperatures are starting to rise a little bit, but I'm not ready for winter. I don't think our department is either. We've been very busy as a result of the crashes we've had. So, we ready to begin? All right, we've got a fairly lengthy agenda today, followed by a pension board meeting, so we'll try to get through this as quickly as we can. The first item on the agenda is the fact that Deputies David Grimberg, Austin Howell, and Kaz Billings are currently in their 15th week of training at the Northwest Indiana Recruit Academy. The majority of last week was spent at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy in Plainfield, however, for those recruits, because they participated in EVOC training, and they've got an EVOC course down there. Their graduation will take place tomorrow, which is Friday, November 15th. We'll be leaving the department at about 10 or 10:15 tomorrow if you're interested in joining us to go over for their graduation ceremony. And upon their return to the department, they will immediately begin their field training, and they're going to be reporting to Sergeant Jeff Wright, who's our field training coordinator. And we want to get them trained as quickly as we can so we can get them out on their own and they can start making contributions to the department. In the meantime, Deputy Austin Eppel is in his 9th week of Basic Recruit Academy at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy in Plainfield. Last week, he had his final examination over criminal law and did very well, scoring a 94. He reports, and the reports that we're getting from the academy are that he's doing very well. We know that he's a squad leader, and as a reminder, his graduation is December 27th. We'll talk more about that at the December Merit Commission meeting, and we'll make the offer if anyone would like to join us down there. We don't know the details yet, specifically what time it is. We don't know if it will be a daytime graduation or if it will be a nighttime graduation. My guess is because they're using a high school and it'll be during Christmas break that it probably would be during the daytime. I know in the past at ILEA when they've had to use an area high school during the school year, they had to do it at night because, of course, the school was occupied with students during the daytime. But we'll let you know and give you plenty of advance notice on that. We did complete the majority of our mandatory in-service training. We reported on that at the October meeting. However, we did have instruction and training in EVOC over at the Tire Rack in South Bend. We continue to use their test track over there. They're very generous and they enjoy having us over there. We're pleased that they allow us to come over. They've got a fantastic test track over there, and it's great for our training and the applications that we need. And their road course that they have is very appropriate for our emergency vehicle operations training. The merit promotion test took place on November 8th. You know that. The scores have since been posted in the squad room. Major Haferkamp is scheduling a review period for those that are interested in reviewing the test with instructor Patrick Murray. And we appreciate the time that's been invested in this process by our merit commissioners. And I'd like to give a special thank you to Merit Commission member Tom Wheatbrook for helping to monitor and proctor the examination that took place. Thank you, Mr. Wheatbrook, for that. We are continuing to monitor our calls at Franciscan Hospital in Michigan City, and for the month of October, we responded to 5 calls for service at the hospital, which was 5 less than what we had responded to in the month of September. So there are ebbs or flows, and again, we don't think these are inordinate number of calls that we're answering there. Franciscan Health did recently host a law enforcement training seminar concerning human trafficking. The seminar was very good and the instructors were outstanding. We appreciate that Franciscan Health is concerned about this very serious social issue and the criminal activity that's associated with it, and they're willing to help us further our training in this subject. And you may or may not know that this is a mandatory area that all of our officers need mandatory in-service training for each and every year. So while we did have human trafficking training during our mandatory in-service in the month of September and October, this was a nice follow-up for many of us, and we had very good attendance over there, and they did a nice job of hosting that, again, with very good instructors. Our calls for service department-wide increased 5% from September to October. Last month we answered, in the month of September we answered 2,688 calls for service, and in October we answered 2,824 calls for service. In addition, our traffic enforcement efforts also increased 24% in the month of October. And when we compare our calls for service in 2019 year to date compared to 2018, our call volume has increased 20%. And we've answered so far this year nearly 27,210 calls for service. Actually, more than that, not nearly, but more than that. That was the exact number as of Tuesday morning at, I think, 8 o'clock. Becky Popwell ran those numbers for us. We're now in the midst of our car deer crash season, and I'm frequently asking Becky Popwell for statistics, and a lot of times she puts a fun statistic in there. I think it's to make sure that I'm reading it and I catch it. And she had indicated that our car deer crashes from September to October increased 310%. I actually ran the numbers again, and I put it in a percentage calculator, and she was right on. Our car deer crashes have increased 310%. That we've answered. So obviously it is the height of the car deer season, and we're reminding everybody to slow down and be very cautious and mindful for the deer. And it's not so much the deer you can see, it's the ones that you can't see that you got to watch out for. And I'll tell you, I've had close calls. A number of our guys have had close calls. In fact, overnight we had a car deer crash involving one of our squad cars. Fortunately, no one was injured. I don't even think the deer may have been stunned, but nonetheless, not much damage to the car a little bit. But the deer absolutely, especially the bucks, have their blinders on. They're in hot pursuit, and they pay no attention to the traffic. They just run right out, and in some cases, right into the sides of cars or trucks because they're in that constant pursuit during the rut season. On October 28th, Captain Derek Allen facilitated physical agility testing for our employees. This is something that we do on a biannual basis. 7 employees took advantage of this testing and all successfully completed the testing. And as a result, they are all being awarded a compensatory day off. Research and studies have indicated that police officers who are physically fit are more alert and less susceptible to injury and have considerably less time off from work due to sickness or injury. And in addition, they're more likely to be able to successfully defend themselves and others against aggressors and attacks. So as you can see, we're pushing physical fitness and the importance of that, not only so that our deputies keep up with it, but now we have our wellness center, and that's being heavily utilized, especially now the weather's starting to turn bad. We're having more and more employees down there. And notice I say employees, it's not just our merit, but any employee of the sheriff's office is welcome to use that. And that's just important, whether it's a records clerk, whether it's a jail deputy, or whether it's somebody in the kitchen staff, or whether it's our merit deputies. It's important that everybody get a chance to get down there and use that. And that's being utilized 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we're pleased that even at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, there are deputies that are off duty that are coming in because their sleep schedules and actually using that wellness center. And that's exactly what it's for. And our end goal is to make our staff healthy and less susceptible to injury and sickness. On November 7th, there was a news conference that was held at Franciscan Health in Michigan City, and the Sheriff's Office was presented with 11 automated external defibrillators from Bolt for the Heart. Those AEDs have since been assigned to various patrol deputies and are now in their police vehicles. We now have 15 police vehicles in our fleet that are equipped with AEDs. We're very appreciative of our partnership with Bolt for the Heart and Franciscan Health, and we're about a quarter of the way to our goal. And we have more work that needs to be done, but we can continue to get donations. As a result of the news conference, we had yet another organization that reached out and presented us with a check that we're going to be sending to Bolt for the Heart for $1,000, and that's going to pay for about half the cost of an AED. And so we're looking at yet another AED going to be placed in our patrol vehicles.
Sheriff, approximately how much of that money that was used to generate those was a result of that marathon run that you had?
I'm sorry, can you ask that question again?
the marathon or half marathon or whatever that
5K.
5K, was much of that money used to purchase these 11 devices?
Yes.
Or?
Yes, it was. Not only were we recipients of the AEDs, but a number of other agencies in LaPorte County, police agencies, were recipients as well, from the LaPorte Police Department to Michigan City Police Department, Westville Police Department, Trail Creek, I believe Long Beach. Just about every agency in the county received at least one AED at this news conference. We happen to receive 11. And I think part of the reason is, and in fact, I know part of the reason is Bolt for the Heart recognizes that the sheriff's office primarily is in the rural area of the county. And the response time for ambulances to cardiac events is much greater in the rural area of the county. And we are most often closer than a fire department or an ambulance would be to a victim of cardiac arrest. And therefore, they want to equip us with AEDs first, because we're more likely to use them and we're more likely to beat an ambulance or a fire department to that victim and begin CPR and begin reviving them. So they want to make sure that those AEDs are going to be utilized, and we're more likely to utilize them at this point. But again, the goal is to equip every police car, patrol car in LaPorte County with an AED. On Thursday, November 7th, a student at New Prairie Middle School received a text message from an unknown person that a shooting would take place at lunch the following day. And on November 8th, the school administration and the school resource officer, Deputy Paul Adams, were alerted to this information and immediately placed the school and all New Prairie schools on lockout procedure. There was a systematic search that was launched. And although school dismissal was delayed, no weapons were located. A number of law enforcement agencies responded to the corporation schools as an added layer of deterrent and protection. And within 48 hours, a suspect was developed by Deputy Adams, and ultimately a middle school student was arrested and charged with felony intimidation. This incident was truly an all-hands-on-deck event, and we worked seamlessly with other law enforcement agencies to ensure the safety of the students, the staff, and the parents. And Deputy Paul Adams is to be commended for his efforts and determination to find the person responsible for this incident. He worked tirelessly throughout the weekend to bring this case to resolution, and by doing so, he eased the minds of the students, the teachers, the administration, and the parents. Also to be commended is Captain Derek Allen, who was our officer in charge, and Deputy Bobby Greer and his K-9 partner, Argo, who played a key role in this matter as they responded from off-duty status to conduct a sweep of the school for explosives, and they verified that there were no guns, ammunition, or explosives in the school. I say that this was an all-hands-on-deck event. It was. Timing is everything. As you know, we have our merit promotion test once every 2 years. This was scheduled in January or February, and our merit promotion exam was taking place at the exact moment that this all broke. And so we were very, very shorthanded. But in rather quick order, as our deputies were finishing taking the exam at the fairgrounds, they learned of what was going on at New Prairie. We had a number of deputies that showed up off duty, and it's a testament to our take-home car program that they were able to respond, and they began to fan out. As they arrived at the school, their attitude is, what can I do to help out, even though they were off duty, and we really appreciated it because we needed it. And I know how much the students and the parents, the staff, the administration at New Prairie appreciated our response. But we worked very, very closely. The ATF had a response as well. They had agents that were actually on the grounds with us. The Indiana State Police out of Bremen, out of Lowell as well responded. We had officers from the Michigan City Police Department that realized how shorthanded we were, and a drug task force, and they volunteered to go to the outlying New Prairie schools and just have an increased presence because we didn't want a sympathetic response, or we didn't want to get caught being drugged and all our resources at the middle school, when in fact, if there was going to be an attack, it may have been in an elementary school. So Michigan City officers and drug task force officers went to Prairie View and to Rolling Prairie Elementary School for visibility and protection. New Carlisle Police Department manned the Olive Township Elementary School. We had officers, deputies from the St. Joe County Police Department, the South Bend Police Department, and the LaPorte Police Department as well. So we're really pleased that when these agencies found out what was going on, they all just responded and they asked, what can we do to help? And we put every one of them to work. But I can't tell you how proud I am of Deputy Paul Adams and what a quick resolution he got. And not only am I speaking as sheriff, but I'm talking as parent as well, because I've got a child in the New Prairie schools, and it put my mind at ease. Myself and Captain Allen were in the command post, which was on the grounds of the middle school and high school. The corporation office, that was the command post there, and he did an outstanding job of directing resources and keeping on top of things. Not only we had a couple of tasks at hand. We had to make sure all the students at the middle school were safe and assist the staff with doing searches of each student, backpacks and lockers. But we also had to run a concurrent investigation trying to find out who had sent this text. So we're running two major investigations all at once, and it was very seamless. And I'm really proud of the way the department reacted to this. And we look back at it, and it's almost like it was training for us. And we fell back on the previous training, and that's, I think, why things seem to go seamlessly because of all the training and the practice that we've had up to this point. One of the things that did not make the agenda, but you'll see item number 12, you can scratch that. I don't know how that got on there, but I apologize for that. That was from the previous October meeting. But one of the things I want to talk about is an operation that we had back in October, and it was a proactive program. Records clerk Christy Hahn and Lisa Harlow worked very diligently on this. It was Operation Porchlight. This is something that we do every year. Just prior to Halloween, we identify all of the offenders against children and sexually violent predators in LaPorte County that are classified by Indiana law, that we're responsible for maintaining their files and tracking them. And we deployed a number of teams that went out that afternoon and evening and visited all 87 of those offenders to make sure that they were living where they were reported as being living, where they're working, where they're reported as working, and to make sure that they're compliant and to put them on notice that they should not be participating in trick or treat. We located 85 offenders that afternoon and that evening, two of the 87 offenders were non-compliant, and within several days, both of them were in custody and charged with not being compliant with Indiana laws, and they were actually jailed over the Halloween period. We're pleased at that. But this was a multi-jurisdictional effort as well. We can't do it alone at the Sheriff's Office. We had the United States Marshal's Office that helped us, the LaPorte Police Department, the Indiana State Police, Michigan City Police Department. We had Indiana Department of Corrections, their parole officers helped us. Of course, our deputies, drug task force officers. So it was a great effort, good chance to get together with everybody, and we all work for that common cause. And I'm also proud to report that we got a lot of really good publicity. Got the message out. As a result of this, we had over 13,000 hits on our sex offender registry of people that we encouraged families to go to that website to look at their Halloween trick-or-treating route. They were going to go out to make sure that they didn't stop at a sex offender's home, so we know people were utilizing that tool to help keep they and their families safe. On November 7th, the Sheriff's Office and our canine program were presented with a check from the LaPorte Senior Bowling League. We received a check in the amount of $1,113, and it's going to be deposited into our canine donation account, which is held by the auditor. The check was generated during a recent fundraising bowl-a-thon that was hosted at Quick Lanes in LaPorte, and we're really pleased that they thought of our canine program. So we split the proceeds with the LaPorte Police Department canine program. Each of us received an $1,100 check that day, and immediately after this event, I received an email from Judy Horenza, who organized this event, and I just want to read it real quick. It said, Sheriff, just a quick note to thank you and your deputies and Bosco for coming out to Monday's Casey's Lanes. It was my honor to present them with the check for $1,113 to go toward your canine program. The bowlers were excited to see the real canine, and Bosco was excited to see us. Your officers were very gracious towards us, and they were happy to answer any and all of our questions that we put towards them. Once again, it was my pleasure to raise a few dollars for your canine program, and I hope that we can do this again for your program. Sincerely, Judy Horenza. This is phenomenal. We have organizations like this that step up to help us, and we're really pleased with this partnership, and this came completely unsolicited. They see what we're trying to do with our canine program, the fundraising efforts that we have, and they just wanted to help us out. So it was a great event, and I know our guys that went out for that bowl-a-thon really enjoyed getting out and bowling as well. On November 8th, the County Drug Task Force executed a search warrant at a home in the city of LaPorte. The Sheriff's Office Emergency Response Team made a dynamic entry into the home, and immediately they took an armed suspect into custody. The suspect was considered a serious violent felon, and he was found to be in possession of a stolen firearm and various narcotics. Our ERT was utilized because of the very violent nature of this suspect and the intelligence that indicated that he was armed and dangerous. This raid was the culmination of a several-month-long investigation, and we're really pleased that no one was injured during this raid, including the suspect. Next item, we've secured approval of the County Board of Commissioners to proceed with our plan to privatize our jail kitchen. We're going to be entering into agreement with Tiger Correctional Services, and the transition to private food service will begin within the next couple of weeks. By privatizing the food service in the jail, community corrections, and the juvenile services center, we anticipate an annual savings to the taxpayers of approximately $383,000. This project is the result of many months of research, organization, and planning by Jail Commander Al Ott and Administrative Coordinator Jeannie Crosland, and we thank them for their due diligence. And I know Captain Ott is here, thank you, but especially Jeannie Crosland. She absolutely worked her tail off on this. She worked many long days and weekends on crunching numbers and putting this together to ensure that this was the right thing for us to do, and in fact, it would result in a savings for us. And I couldn't be more pleased with her leadership and her guidance, and Captain Ott as well, so thank you again. On Tuesday, November 12th, Beautiful Savior Church, which is located in Center Township along Johnson Road, hosted a town hall meeting with the Sheriff's Office. We had very good participation from the audience, and we answered a lot of questions and concerns. And I think at this event, we probably had more questions and concerns from the audience than we've had at any of the others. It was a really nice event, and it was really rewarding for our staff to participate in this and listen to the concerns of the citizens. And I know the citizens that were there were very appreciative of us coming out and sharing with them how their sheriff's office works. November 11th, as you know, this past Monday was Veterans Day. It's actually the 100th anniversary of Veterans Day. And on behalf of the entire administration of the Sheriff's Office, I want to thank our deputies who are in the military or who are veterans. And I want to thank them for their service and sacrifices as well. And I'd like to name our deputies that are either currently in the service as reservists or guardsmen or have previously served in the armed forces. I'd like to start with the United States Air Force, Sergeant Brett Swanson, Deputy Ken Etchinson, Deputy Gabriel Struess, and Deputy Jacob Coach. In the United States Army, Captain Patrick Cicero, Captain Andrew Heineck, Deputy Corey Chavez, Deputy Keith Wilson, Deputy Alex Pishker, Sergeant Gary Ulrich, Corporal Ryan Hawkins, Deputy Joseph Heath, Deputy Dallas Hutz, Deputy Dan Kessling, Deputy Jonathan Roby, Deputy Kaz Billings, Deputy Zachary Bernhardt, IT Department, Jonathan Meyer, Deputy Rachel Ewert, Deputy Jamie Davis, and Deputy Andrew Sands. From the United States Navy, Major Heath Haferkamp, Deputy Scott Pierce, and Deputy Joshua Callahan. In the United States Marine Corps, Deputy Timothy Short, Deputy Keith Walsh, Deputy David Francis, Sergeant John Wiltshire, Deputy Ryan Jones, Deputy Matthew Watson, Deputy Sarah Harmon, and Merit Commissioner Ed Kluge. Thank you for your sacrifices for our country. And not only the fact that they've sacrificed for their country, but now they're sacrificing for their community as well. But we'd also like to thank their family because they too have made a number of sacrifices for their loved ones. While I'm not going to name those that are actually have been called to active duty right now, you know who they are from previous meetings. I ask that you continue to pray for them and think about them as well as they're in harm's way right now protecting our country. We do have an email of appreciation from a grandparent who recognized two deputies for taking the time to talk with her young grandchildren. Dear Sheriff Boyd, yesterday at about 11:20 or so, I was just finishing up at Culver's with my two youngest grandchildren, Layden, age 4, and he looked out the window and he saw a county police car drive in and park. He got so excited, he was so thrilled. You have thought that a couple of superheroes had arrived. As I was gathering up our stuff, I told him to go say hello and that I would be right behind him. He was so overwhelmed with hero worship that he got nervous and said, "I can't." So Avery, being 7 and not so shy, told him that she would go with him and speak to the deputies. The two sheriff's deputies were so kind and sweet to him, but he was faced with his heroes and couldn't speak, and he couldn't even shake hands. I don't think these two gentlemen realize how much he looks up to them or how special that moment was for Layden. I thank them, and the two kids did too, but that moment stayed with Layden for quite a while. He absolutely loves the police and the firefighters. His grandpa is a retired LaPorte fireman and retired from the United States military. If you can figure out who those two deputies were, thank them again for us. My one regret is that I didn't pause to take a picture of them with Layden and Avery. I was in a hurry and I saw how nervous they were, and one regret was that I'm sorry that I didn't get that picture. Layden was nervous in their presence, but they eased his mind. Next time, I'm most definitely going to take advantage of that moment. Blessing, Arlene Nelson. That was very nice of her to write that, and I'm very pleased that our deputies recognized that and took a few moments to spend some time with those two young kids. But that's not atypical. We see that, and we hear of instances like this all the time. I appreciate the fact that she took a few moments to forward that to us.
You need to make sure you get that young man an application.
Absolutely. We've already started the recruiting process. Yes. We do have a plaque that I wanted to show you. We sponsored a young ladies softball team here in LaPorte County. It's the K-Sox softball team, and they came in several weeks ago and they presented us with this plaque and tell us their appreciation for our sponsorship. You can all see this. And I wanted to show this to you today, and we're going to be proudly hanging this within the department to show that we've sponsored this young ladies team and how appreciative that they were that we had done that. We really enjoy the fact that we got that and got to meet some of those young ladies on the softball team. Reminder that our pension board is to immediately follow, and I do know that Chief Deputy Heeg would like to talk a little bit about our upcoming pension board election and merit board election as well.
Morning, Commissioners. Mr. Kluge's term comes to an end December 31st of this year, so I will be posting tomorrow the nomination sheet for Mr. Kluge's position. This position is selected by the rank and file of the department. If somebody would like to nominate Mr. Kluge back on the merit board for another 4-year term or somebody else, they can do so. The nomination process will be, again, from tomorrow to December 6th till 4 p.m. We will hold the election on December 12th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. If I could have a merit commissioner other than Mr. Kluge present to proctor that voting prior to the December's merit board meeting on 1 p.m., that would be great. Also, Captain Patrick Cicero's term on the pension board expires this year as well. I'll be sending out a notice to the rank and file seeking anybody who might have an interest in that position as well. We will hold the election that same morning. So if there are any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them. No? Thank you.
That's all I have.
I think, didn't you?
Yeah, those points were just that the monthly reports have been added, so you can see those numbers and you can see how very busy we are.
Thank you, Sheriff. Are there any comments from the floor?
Well, if I can real quick, it's that time of the year again for Toys for Tots. October 28th, we started putting out our boxes, donation boxes. We've got about 150 out. I've got one in the squad room here, one at LaPorte Courthouse, and I'll take one over to Michigan City next week when I go there. This past summer, I attended the National Marine Corps League convention in Billings, Montana, and we had a presentation from our national coordinator for Toys for Tots, a retired sergeant major. Last year for 2018, you know how well we did just in our county. Last year for 2018, we had 805 campaigns nationwide. So that's 805 Marine Corps League detachments, Marine Reserve units, and a couple independents that fall under that umbrella with all of us. Those 805 campaigns, we collected
494,000 toys that we passed out to 7 million kids. Yeah, we're pretty happy with what we did. I think that was a record year that we had for Toys for Tots. So it's not only the 17,000 we collected, 18,000 we collected here, but it's all of us working together. And everybody that donated to my collection boxes, I appreciate it. And let's fill them up again. Let's do more for this year. Along with Toys for Tots, one of the members of my detachment is the local, he actually just retired from it, the local coordinator, Tim Vaughn, if you guys know Tim. Tim was recognized nationally a month ago by Toys for Tots. He was named the Region 4 Coordinator of the Year for Toys for Tots, and that's because of the efforts that we've done in this county and the surrounding counties that Tim kind of oversees. He actually retired from it, and a new guy took over for my detachment, Jerry Schmidt, and Jerry's doing a really good job too, so falling right in line with what Tim's doing, or has done. So that's kind of my campaign for Toys for Tots. We also, at our convention, I belong to like a subgroup called Devil Dogs, and we collect fines at every meeting for something stupid. You've got the wrong beer, or whatever it is that we have at our meeting. Every year, all that money just goes into a pot nationwide, and we donate it to a local children's event in the host city for our national convention. This year, we donated $50,000 to the Billings Children's Infusion Center. So we wrote them a check and gave that to help out with their needs. So yeah, Marine Corps League is we're all still Marines, we're all still serving. That's my speech for Toys for Tots.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
Deputy Short.
Tim?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I do have one question.
Yeah.
Are there any particular types of toys that are most popular?
No, everything, the full gamut we have people that bring in books, all the way to big Tonka toys, to dolls, anything unwrapped.
Okay.
There's really no, like if it's a small toy, we'll bundle 3 together and count that as one, or we'll bundle like 3 books, coloring books, whatever, and count that as one. So actually the 18 million, there was a lot more than that, as we count that, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, all brand new toys, yeah. And if you think about it, that 18 million, almost 500,000 toys we collected, the average cost is about $13 per toy. So that's a lot of money that is generated for local businesses nationwide, just to help with that campaign. Thank you.
Last year, our boxes were overflowing, and we hope to do it again this year. So please utilize our boxes as your drop point, if you could. Thank you.
Any other comments from the floor? Comments from the floor? Hearing none, comments from the floor closed. Comments from the board, Mr. Kluge. Ms. Mock. Mr. Wheatbrook. You sure? Okay.
No.
Wow. Okay. A couple things I'd like to point out is that before we leave today, the merit commissioners will set a date for the exit interviews for the recently held promotion interviews that we did. We started doing that 2 years ago, again, just as an opportunity to give the deputies that are going for promotions an opportunity to come in, ask us questions, how we can possibly help prepare them for 2 years from now when they next take the promotional exam. And we're doing this for a couple of reasons. Number one, we feel it's our obligation to do everything we can to make them better deputies and better candidates. And we also want to be extremely transparent in everything we do as a merit board. So we will set that date. We'll probably do it sometime in December. We don't want to prolong it. And for those who do come to that, I do want to say that we've picked up some good ideas that were presented to us. Brett Swanson gave us one 2 years ago that we utilized this year. And thank you for that, Mr. Swanson. It was seemed from what I've heard was well received, and that was to do the oral interviews prior to the written. And from everything that I heard from the major, the response was very well received on doing it that way. So we'll continue to do that. Also, in regards to the promotional process, the major, Connie Trojanowski, and myself We'll meet this afternoon after lunch to tabulate all the scores so we can get that list finalized and posted so everyone knows the results of the promotion. Also, the merit board will once again, we're looking to do our Beyond the Expected Award this year or be recognized in January. We'd like to ask any of the merit officers or supervisors, if you have anyone that you know of on your shift that's a merit person, to please get that nomination form to me by 12/11 by the next merit board meeting so we can begin looking at that and then accumulating the awards and getting this process moving ahead. I will point out that Tim Short was a recipient of that last year for his efforts with Toys for Tots. So, Tim, your efforts, they are recognized by a lot of people. I believe that's all I have. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second, all approved? Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 9:37. Thank you.